This is the Living in Mid-Bloom podcast, lighthearted and heartfelt conversations about what it looks like to live, heal, and blossom in middle age. I'm your host, April Pruitt. Let's get our bloom on. Well, hello, my friends. Hello, mid-bloomers, and welcome back. This is part 2 of Black Woman Searching. Part 1 was last week, and I talked about my dating experience, my so-called search for a relationship, searching for love, single Black woman in search of what? And I realized, as I said, that I wasn't ready for a relationship any way, shape, or form. It was almost like instead of eating food as an addiction in a way to not be in touch, I was using this dating and getting high off of these men that I thought wanted me and wanted to spend time with me. And even though most of the dates were just once, I still got a high off of it. This episode is going to be about friendship, but it was not actually the plan. Some things had come up, and I've mentioned friendships before that didn't work out or had failed, but I didn't really go into any kind of detail and really explained, what were the real issues, and that I was not making myself accountable for my part, because it does take two in a relationship. Let me start off by saying right now, my life right now, I have so many great people in my life. I am so, so grateful. Because of my personal growth, I recognize now what is not good for me. What is, a relationship that is codependent or judgmental, or that I can't be myself, or I withhold information because I know that person won't want to hear that. So no, I'm in relationships with so many people that are good to themselves, support themselves and give themselves pats on the back and do it for me as well. And I'm learning that. April, you are one of a kind. You are special. You are something. And I will tell you, these lessons I learned from these new friends in my life, still some old friends in my life, relationships that have just grown, like my relationship with my cousin. She knows who I'm talking about, that we have gone through stuff, but we were both willing to commit. And I think we've become better people for that. And I just so very grateful, so very grateful. Now, as I watch my two cats and we talk about self-care, they've got it down pat, believe me. Because if they don't want to be bothered with me, they don't want to be bothered. If they want my attention, they try to get my attention. I mean, they don't care what I think about what I'm doing or what they're doing. They're just living their life. So somehow I have to figure that out as I'm busy taking care of them. As I said, last week was about finding love and understanding that was something I was not ready for. So moving on, after I had lost my job, and that was 2019. So between then and now, I can't believe it's been 5 years, there have been 4 significant relationships that ended. And it was tough because these people had been in my life for years. And I was really trying to struggle to understand. And I think I was so busy being hurt, I didn't see my part in the relationships. So 2 women, okay, they're conservatives, they're white. We've always given ourselves space. That's what you believe. This is what I believe. It's fine. You get to be who you are. And one thing I'd always thought that, regardless of what side you may be on or what you believe, that you recognize that there's a failing in the system if you actually see something that's happened and that was terribly wrong. So one of the issues that came up was George Floyd, when he was held down by police and he dies in front of us. Now, all of that was filmed. There was nothing that we missed or that was edited out. We saw what happened, and it was a terrible thing. If George Floyd was Latin or white, it would be a terrible thing. His race didn't matter, though we know the tendency is for people of color to get brutalized more often. So I wanted to talk to them about it, and they didn't really want to, other than saying, "Oh, this is a shame," and "Are you okay?" And I'm thinking, "Well, what do you mean, am I okay? This is a man that was killed in front of us. What does that have to do with just me? You're human. He's human. Why?" And so when I say I let it go, I was upset, and I should have said, "You know what? I'm upset. I don't understand why I'm the one that should be. I alone would be the one to be upset, but I'll let it go. I don't want to be a difficult Black person. Other things have come up, things that I may want to talk about. I'll mention a text and then there's no response. And then I respond, "Well, okay, I guess you guys don't want to talk about it." And then they're like, "Phew, okay, we're moving on." This is what I did to myself. I diminished myself because I didn't want to be difficult. I didn't want to be in the way. And that was a terrible thing I did to myself. And it wasn't fair to them. I didn't let them know how much that hurt me and how much that bothered me. As I was talking to my spiritual coach at the time, this is what she said, "April, I don't want you to get upset with me," but she said, "You played a big part in this." And as I said, she's right. I wasn't myself. How do they know who I am if I don't show them? If I'm upset, why am I afraid to do that? Well, I know that has ties in childhood, never allowed to be angry, never allowed to be upset. And I felt that maybe our relationships were contingent upon how I dealt with them. So I needed to touch on that to make it clear that I had my part in it. I had my part in that. Why did the friendship thing come up? Well, I'd say maybe 2 months ago, I got calls from two people that I hadn't talked to in years. One was a woman entrepreneur. She has a hair care business. And so we would just touch base because I was working on my card business at the time and, still in the financial field. So, and taking trips to sell my cards. And we would just kind of share each other's stories, supposedly holding, each other up. Then she got into a new relationship with a guy, and he'd pop on the call every now and then. So it appeared to be positive to me. Then, as you begin to trust someone, I talked to her more about, oh, always struggled with my weight, trying to, work on losing that. And I think like the second time I had mentioned it on another call, she said, "Yeah, you got to work on that. You got to lose that weight, girl. Next time I talk to you, you better tell me, how much you've lost." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." That was the last time I talked to her. Now, I didn't even recognize how pissed I was. It never occurred to me to call her, and I don't know why she didn't call me. I know subconsciously I was like, good riddance. We're talking 4 or 5 years later, I get a phone call. I see the number, I don't answer. "Hey, April, it's blah, blah, blah. Hope you're doing well. Give me a call." Then she sent me a text. And I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. I wonder why she's reaching out to me." Of course, my first thought is, does she need something from me? So I didn't call her back because I had no interest in a relationship anymore, especially the way we left it in our last communication. So about a week later, she calls me again She doesn't leave a message. And that was the last I heard. I guess she must have realized that I didn't have any interest in continuing a relationship. And I thought, you know what? That's in my best interest because of her attitude toward me as a person. At this time in my life, I don't need folks like that. I don't need to feel like I owe somebody something. Oh, I should call her back just to acknowledge. Well, no, I don't have to do anything. So another person I heard from, hadn't talked to in years, was someone that was my hairdresser. He sent me a text. Hey, April, I haven't talked to you in so long. I've been thinking about you. Give me a call. Give me a call. And then he calls me, leaves me a long message. Hey, it's me. How are you doing? Haven't heard from you. How are things going? Yeah, I'm still doing my thing. Blah, blah, going on and on and on. He's like, okay, so here's my number. He repeats it. It's like, give me a call, give me a call. That was someone that I did care about, but our relationship was toxic. It was toxic because there are always these issues of I show up on time, he's not ready on time, I'm sitting there waiting for an hour, or his jokes that he thought were funny weren't really that funny, and of course I just tucked all that in and didn't let him know. It just kind of came to a conclusion because he was having issues with the salon that he was working with. He's having issues with the owner, and things weren't going well, and so I just stopped going. A few days later, I get another phone call. Hey, it's me. Call me back. Call me back. Another text. And I kind of teared up because it almost sounded desperate. And I just thinking he must have other people in his life. I know that he has a partner that he's with, and he did say that he had been trying to connect with other people. And I thought, is he sick? Is there something wrong? But at one point, he was saying, I'm doing fine, just the normal stuff, getting older, So I thought, okay, he's not sick. The last time he called me was a few days ago. And again, it just sounded really desperate. Remember, it's me, it's me. I love you. Well, on and on and on and on. And I almost called him, but then I thought, what would we talk about? I don't want to share anything with him. I don't want to share what's going on in my life right now. I don't trust the relationship and I don't want it. And that was tough. That was tough because this is somebody that I cared about, but I am not sacrificing my discomfort because I feel that somebody else is in pain and needs some type of support. I don't have that to give people that are not in my life and add to my life. I'm not doing that anymore. It's no good for me. And self sabotage myself, people pleasing, I don't care, frankly, what he thinks. I'm sure he's pissed off. I don't know. It doesn't really matter how he feels. But I made a great decision for myself. Again, this was not where I thought this part two was going to go, but these things had come up and other thoughts about relationships that I hadn't really shared and my part in those relationships. So I have learned a lot about myself in all of this because something I never did, but I do now is set boundaries. Boundaries are so important. I can't say enough about that because that's also being authentic. If you be a people pleaser and, well, I'll do that for them, but it's like, but if that's not really what I want to do, then how are they supposed to know that, as far as they're concerned, that that's who you are and that's what you want to do? And in reality, no, it's not. And I have to prioritize my self-care. No one else is going to do it for me. And, every now and then when I feel like I'm making a move and maybe somebody's not going to be happy about it, I make the move and just say, oh, okay, we'll see what happens. And if that person is who I hope they are, that they're cool because I'm being myself. And again, I can't overemphasize the people pleasing. In a few weeks, I will have my guest, Petra. She was on last year and we had talked about narcissism. Well, I'll be talking to her and it will air in a few weeks about people pleasing. That was one of my go tos back in the day. So I thank you all for sticking around as I go through my personal journey of growth. And I got to tell you, it's been a long time since I've really felt this good because of the way I'm taking care of myself, the way that I have allowed good people in my life, people that care about me, people that support me, people that value my friendship. All of these things I am grateful for. So, this has been the past few weeks talking about my personal growth, and I've got some good guests coming up as usual. I thank you for sticking around and hanging with me. I love all of you, and I hope all of this is valuable to you. We're all walking a walk. It may be our own path, but we're not alone. A whole bunch of us out there trying to make things work and doing what's best for us because if you don't do it, nobody else will. And there is the one and only you. So, everyone take care, kiss and hug your loved ones, and talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining me today on Living in Midbloom. I hope you found this episode insightful, meaningful, and maybe it's given you something to think about. I invite you to share your positive reviews or ideas on topics you would like me to touch on by leaving your comments on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, Podchaser, or Podcast Addict. We are all divine beings who just want to be seen, heard, and loved. Have a beautiful day.